and another beer crate. Which I've got the beer barrel actually in the garden, Alex, and I've started to. I put the tap on it and opened it, and loads of beer sprayed out because it must have been it went all like over me because
Pressurized.
I think it was all pressurized in there, and obviously it's been in there, and you just you put the. I got the thing from Steve that you put on the top and you turn it to open the tap, so you can then fill it. And it just all spurt out. There's not loads in there, but obviously enough to pressurize to shoot out. So
How much do you think it'll weigh when it's?
I don't know. I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try and do it this afternoon, just because once the hose is in there, it'll just fill it up. So I'd imagine at least.
There's going to be a story. Like, James, why are you in a different place doing the podcast? Well, I might have blown up my stream.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity Podcast, episode 197. We have a fantastic guest with us today who we're going to be talking to in a minute. I've just actually spent the weekend with her and someone else, another guy who we'll do a little congratulations to in a minute. But before we do that, let's just check in with Mr. Peter Lant and see how you're doing. How are you, Pete?
I'm very well, thanks. I've had a very normal weekend, but for me, normal weekend of like walking around. Actually, it wasn't that normal because I was walking around in the sunshine, so it was it was abnormal for this year, but it was great. Yeah.
Was it lovely there? Was it like we were driving back from we were at the SFG2 up in Teesside in Middlesbrough at the weekend, and we drove back last night. And or yesterday sort of afternoon into the evening, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Was it really lovely down in Bath yesterday?
Yeah, it was amazing. We had there's a festival on every year in Bath. I think I mentioned it the other day, didn't I? On one of the episodes last week. And at the beginning of it, they have like a free music night, and they just have loads of bands playing, or it's like Party in the City. So that was on Friday. So like this, it's Monday now, isn't it? That was on Friday. So went down to there, and there was a bunch of people from Walk Bath there as well, who'd all been in touch with each other, like swapping numbers and stuff like that. And they were all down there. So it was great. So we had a good night. Didn't get home until like 11:30 or something. And then I had to be up at 6:30 to go and meet everyone for the walk. I was knackered.
Oh, fantastic. And we spoke briefly, no, just via message. I can't remember. I don't think we talked about it on a podcast, but next year, we're going to come and do our walking weekend in Bath and Date Crash Walk Bath as well, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Something out.
I'm well up for that. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I've also just put on. It goes on this Wednesday. I'm going to start doing 6 in the evening as well on a Wednesday for 2 hours. Yeah. So it'll. Well, it's nice weather, and it's light until late, and it will naturally evolve into a sunset walk as well, So
will you just do that kind of through the spring, summer, and finish?
Yeah.
Stop that in sort of like end of September or something like that.
Yeah. We don't want to be doing it in the dark. It'll not be that interesting.
No. Excellent. Yeah. Well, yeah, as I just mentioned, we've been at the SFG2 for the weekend with John Engham, former guest of the show, friend of the show. John Engham was really, really good. Big well done from Unique Results, Matt Sales, who went along and became a Strong First Elite. So he's done all 4 certifications and did his kind of universal recertification thing he had to do at the weekend, which is absolutely brilliant. And big well done to our guest today as well, Nicoll Bennett, who recertified her SFG1 and SFG2 at the weekend, which was fantastic. So I've just given away who we've got on the podcast. So yeah, how are you doing, Alex? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you both very much for inviting me along.
That's good. We've actually wanted to have you on for ages, and then we just it just now seems a good time because we'll get into kind of what you've been up to and what you've been doing recently. But you've recently had another kind of strongman comp within the last month. You've just obviously been away and recertified your SFG2 and things. So it's a good time to kind of talk to you because there's lots has been happening and lots to talk about. Exactly. So I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, Alex is someone I've known for, would it be 5 years-ish or more than that now? I can't remember.
I joined just before I turned 39, so 6 years.
6 years. I was going to say it's pre-lockdown and everything like that, wasn't it? So so about 6 years. Now Alex is a member at Unique Results, and but like we've had on before, we spoke to Steve Bush, and we've spoke to other people. Probably we're going to talk about stuff today that, although I know Alex quite well and spend a lot of time talking with her, I'm sure we'll talk about some things that I've not talked about with you before as well, which, because just to get to know you and your journey and everything else to where you are now. But I suppose really to begin with, Alex, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, really? You know, like not about not necessarily training and stuff, but, you know, just maybe as you were growing up, what your kind of, you know, childhood was like, what your teens were like, if you were sporty, if you weren't sporty, what you've kind of done, and we can gradually just kind of come up to speed, but we can talk about things on the way, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. So I think I probably had a very average upbringing, like 1980s upbringing. I have two much older brothers than me, so they'd sort of, you know, pretty much moved out by the time I was a teenager. I would say that my childhood was not sporty. I was not, I actively would avoid sports if I could. I didn't particularly enjoy any of them. And I think that was probably partly due to being an overweight kid, and, you know, not wanting to attract attention to myself. You can't, if you're watching on YouTube, you can't tell because I'm on camera, but, you know, I'm 6'1". I'm not a small person, and that was, I always stood out from a very young age. So I just didn't want to be noticed, didn't want to take part in anything like that. So yeah, was not a sporty kid at all. The only couple of notable things I did do, I think, was compete in regional discus and shot put. But I think that was only because I had longer arms than all the other girls, so I had a better chance. Yeah, but that, no, not a sporty background at all. But when I was about sort of, well, when I left school and started work, that's when I probably got into some kind of training. And that was really from the influence of colleagues. We all had these, you know, in the industry. I mean, I'm in finance. You get like a good deal on a health club membership, and I was definitely influenced into try and spin in and other kind of gym class type things that I did, but, you know, didn't love. I just did it because that's sort of what you did at lunchtime. It was that or the pub. So, but I guess you could say that I sort of started getting more interested when I started playing rugby, which was not for very long at all. I came to it quite late. I was probably about 25, 26. My eldest brother had played rugby for years, and he mentioned that our local team was starting up a ladies team. And I thought, oh, that's, you know, that sounds like fun. So I was there at the conception of it, like the very first training session. And I did that for maybe 3 or 4 years, something like that. We, you know, I'm sure the girls wouldn't mind me saying we were pretty rubbish when we started, not least because there was only about 4 of us that did it. But we stuck it out, and the local team are doing brilliant now. I think they've got a second team and everything. So yeah, I loved those rugby days, and that's probably one of the things I wish I'd done much sooner and got into more heavily, because I think sort of team sports for kids and youngsters is a real vital thing, to be honest, about, you know, it teaches you so much about sort of commitment and discipline and good health. But yeah, so that lasted a few years until I was injured, and around the time I got injured, I donated a kidney to my sister-in-law, and it came, you know, my rugby career came to a natural end around then. Not that I was ill at all, but playing second row, I'd get, you know, knocked on the back quite a lot, so it just seemed sensible to pack it in around then. And then I didn't sort of do an awful lot, or sort of around that time I took up a bit of running, and toyed with triathlon, which absolutely creases me now because I watch some of the people at the gym training for those things. I'm like, it just seems so far away from what I enjoy now and what I'm capable of. But yeah, hats off to them. I mean, I only ever did a sprint distance, and it was hard work. It was really hard work, but you know, it was fun. It was good fun back then. I think really looking back, all the endeavors I've had though have all probably been, as good as they were and as positive as they were, have all probably been for, you know, the wrong reason. It was all simply to burn calories. nothing more. I enjoyed my rugby days and I enjoyed things fleetingly, but it was never because I had a passion for what I was doing. It was more just a way to burn calories. So yeah, and that pretty much leads me up to when I joined Unique Results, which was.
So I think just to touch on things, Alex, I suppose I remember you, I can't remember when it was probably a few years ago now, but you showed me a picture of yourself like when you were a little girl, and I can't remember how old you were, but you were probably less than 10, I think.
Yeah.
And you said, oh, at this young age, you don't have to go into loads of detail, but someone had put into your head that you were like overweight when you were like a little kid, really
Yeah.
and I've got Bella, obviously, who's only 7, 8 next month. You can't have been, I don't think you were that much different from that, in that ball.
Yeah.
So, and then that it's amazing, isn't it, that you kind of, like you said, when you were younger, you wanted to avoid sort of standing out or being, and you had this feeling that you were a certain way. But then I just remember you showing me the picture and saying, God, look at this picture now. And I wasn't big at all, or I was just
No.
like you literally looked like any kid. And I know people nowadays, there's more kind of bigger kids around, but you weren't a big kid, you just like said, God, I used to think, I was told this back then, and I used to think I was really big, and now I look at the picture and I just look like a normal little kid,
Yeah, exactly. I think part of the problem was because I was and I am so tall, well, probably by men's standards as well, but certainly by female standards, I'm a lot heavier than most people. So I'd get, you'd get weighed at school and you'd get weighed at the doctors, and there'd be like a sharp intake of breath, like, oh, that's really too heavy. But in reality, it was probably just, yeah, I mean, I was overweight, but it wasn't terrible. Like, it was probably something that had, food become such a big issue for me. Had that not happened, I probably just would have grown up, got taller, and potentially just leaned out a bit. But yeah, I mean, there's so much focus on, in my opinion, the wrong things, which are numbers, and even now, I think less focus on, helpful attitudes and healthful things. But yeah, that definitely started when I was a kid, no doubt, having that seed planted.
So I mean, with like you say, and then that probably, you don't know really, but like you said, a lot of your exercise choices or activity choices, or the thinking behind many of your activity choices, and I think this is kind of probably common for lots of people. I know, Pete, I know you work with more sort of men now in their 40s and stuff, but still lots of people think about exercise or think about training as a means to burn calories, like Alex said, don't they? You know what I mean? It's like,
Definitely. I mean, I've got one particular guy who's not big at all. He's in his 60s. He's lean, you'd say, but he keeps going on about his belly. And how do I get rid of this? And I'm like, it's just, that's food. You're strong, you're lean. Don't worry about it. But he does, and I'm trying to get him. That's the thing. It's like, because he's got that, like you were saying about that photograph when you were younger, if someone says that, then you can start to believe it, even though it's not true. So he tells himself that. And I'm like, take a look around, you look fine, but he has this perception in his head for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway.
So what changed, Alex? You got up to the point kind of where, like you said, much of your exercise choices or your thinking behind exercise was related to burning calories, and then I suppose to weight and your body weight and that sort of thing. What kind of what changed, in terms of your perception or your paradigm around training, and yeah, what was the kind of the change for you?
Well, it didn't happen overnight, for sure. It's definitely been a number of years of exposure to different things, like exposure to exposure to your podcast, exposure to Strong First, just exposure to a different world, really, because I don't, I'm not in the fitness industry. And I am complete, or have been, influenced by media, the media and peers. I think really when things started to turn around is after I joined UR with the simple goal to lose weight. And I remember meeting you and you sort of introducing me to Unique Results and, you know, talking about everything that was on offer and what an amazing community you had. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I just don't need any more friends. I'm good for friends. I just want to lose them. I just want to lose. Yeah, I didn't say that. But I was like, yeah, not interested. Let me just give you my money. Tell me what to do to be thin, basically. That was the goal. And that was probably the goal for the first couple of years. I mean, I did everything. Like, I did as many classes as I could. I did as much training as I could, and I knew I loved it. Like, it didn't take me long at all to love the community aspect. How couldn't you? It's amazing. There's some amazing people. I've met some amazing friends. But I just really did enjoy the training, because you're with people who are, you know, similar to you in age. You know, there's lots of people with many different backgrounds, but lots of people I could share experiences with, because we have, you know, similar jobs. But over the course of those couple of years, it dawned on me that I was treating my training differently, in that I would just show up and do what I said I was going to do, whether I'd had a good food day or a bad food day. And don't get me wrong, on the bad food days, I didn't want to show up, but I said I would. And I also kind of did want to show up to see the people I knew and do the training I enjoyed. I'd never had any sort of formal kettlebell training prior to Unique Results. And I love, as you know, I love training with kettlebells. I'll never turn that opportunity down. So I got into the habit of training regardless of anything else, you know, when I could. It's not always that simple. Work might get in the way, or family stuff or whatever, but I'd go if I said I was going to go. And after like 18 months, a couple of years, I thought, wow, I've actually separated this, like, you know, healthy thing to do, which is train as best I can, from the food aspect of my life. And I felt really proud of that. And I thought, well, if I can do that, surely I can nail the you know, get into grips with my food intake. Surely I can do that. And I kept that in, I mean, I wouldn't say I still have done that 100%. I think I've come a long way, but I keep that in my mind, because I feel like that took me like 42 years, you know, to get to that point. 42 years worth of habits had built up to that, and then I managed to separate it.
I think just for people who are listening, Alex, because I think we've spoke about this before as well, Pete, haven't we? Like, I think what you're talking about is, previously, if you'd had like a bit of you'd had a bit of a binge weekend, or you'd had a blowout, or you'd eaten something rubbish, you then would almost, like we've spoke about this, Pete, haven't we, before, where you then almost throw the baby out with the bathwater and think, oh well, I've mucked up my food, there's no point in me going training now, because they're so linked. So to actually separate that, and I'm sure that's definitely not an uncommon thing with people, whereby we've used the analogy before, haven't we? Whereas if you've got one flat tire, you just go around and puncture the other three, just to, you know, just so that, you know, it's just, so to actually separate it and be able to say, well, yeah, this might be going on, but I'm not going to throw everything out, is huge, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it felt like when I hadn't sort of realized I'd done it until I started. I don't know whether I'd had a conversation with someone, or I don't know, but I thought, wow, I have actually done that. That's a big step in the direction that I want to go. And yeah, and I definitely think, you know, people do have that link. And now when I hear, you know, colleagues or friends of friends chatting about it, I sort of want to say, but it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to punish yourself.
I'll tell you, what you're saying here is, like James said, we spoke about this before, is like your character changed by joining the gym community. So you can join a gym and just go on your own and not speak to anyone and go home, but your character might not change. But you're then influenced by the people around you, aren't you? And then, so your character was, I've got to go because I said I would, and then that starts to bleed into all the other stuff. And the thing you said about oh, I don't need a community. I've got loads of friends. You know what I mean? And this isn't saying like, oh, well, you have to ditch your friends and join this new community. But it's the influence kind of shifts over, doesn't it? And then you're like, actually, it's good to spend time with these people because it changes it changes the influences around me to do things that will serve me more, rather than the things I've been doing for the last 40 odd years that I'm kind of a bit sick of now. And it doesn't mean those are bad people over there as well. It just means like you're kind of making a move between, aren't you? Because I've had that as well. You know, like I was in a similar culture in finance and stuff like that. And it was a lot of drinking and, and debauchery. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, it's like I'm going to die. So
yeah, exactly.
I find that amazing. So like what you've just said is you know, and then you hear people talk about it, and you're like, oh, I can really help, but you need to you need to listen.
You have to live it, don't you? You have to experience it. There's no, you know, there's no shortcut, sadly.
Because I think what you I've just sort of made a connection myself, Alex. Really, but like, because the reason why people have that view of, well, I've eaten a load of rubbish, there's no point me going training now, is because they're viewing exercise as you used to view it, as purely a means to burn calories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you view exercise as purely a means to burn calories and to help you lose weight, then that's where you get that tie to the food, isn't it? Whereas if you,
100%.
like you say, you get that new association with training. And what did it become? Did it become like, it feels good to be strong, it feels good to move, it feels good to train, it feels good to be more capable, more powerful? I mean, what was the kind of the new association, do you think, with exercise, with training?
All of those things really, but I think for me, probably I just started realizing that I probably just started to realize that I was, I hate saying this, it's, you know, I was good at something. There was something that I was good at, and it felt good to keep doing it. So that was the, you know, the desire to keep going back. So, oh, look, I've made some progress here. I want more of that because it feels good to make progress, and it feels good that I can do something, which is what ultimately led me on to do the Strong First level 1. But I think it's possibly not just food that people associate stacking off the gym with as well. I think it's seen as, it's not elitist, but it can be viewed as you know, something that a certain type of people do, you know, and if you've not had a great weekend and you've been out boozing or whatever, then it's easy to think, oh, not today, I'm not that person today. But just keep showing up and building that habit. It's that, I think it's the James Clear quote. Do you remember? If you want your habits to change, or if you want your habits to change, join a community where they already display those habits and they already do that. And that's what UR was for me. I wanted to become, you know, a fit person, so I joined UR and just did what everyone else did, which was quite simply show up. And yeah, I mean,
it's so funny because going on to, I know we're jumping forward, but your first, we'll talk about it in a minute. Obviously, the Strong First stuff you've done, but then your first Strongwoman comp you did last August in Chelmsford, and you know, like you said, you don't want to kind of like, you didn't want to stand out, or you felt a bit, and like even just then when you said you were a bit uncomfortable saying I was good at this, you know, I was actually something I was good at, you know.
Yeah.
Remember when I came up to you at the end and I said, Alex, I think you've won. I think you've won. And then you went, oh no, I haven't, have I? Can I really, like, and then you were like really like kind of uncomfortable with the fact that you'd won, you know, and you felt really self-conscious that you were going to have to sort of stand up and get a trophy, and you know, and you were going to be the winner. I know you were.
Conscious.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just so funny. Like most people would be like really happy, you know, and be like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "I think you've won." You know, "Oh my god, I haven't, have I?" So,
yeah, can we leave now? That's enough. I've done what I came here to do. Let's just leave.
Yeah, do me. So so where did so Strong First? I mean, we spoke about lots and lots on the podcast with various people. You did your Strong First Level 1 certification. You've done the level 2, which you've just recerted, like we mentioned, which is like the advanced one. You've done the SFL as well, which is the barbell certification. With regards to sort of like Strongwoman and things like that, I mean, is that something that you've always been interested in? Does that have a kind of a place in your heart from, I don't know, watching it on TV, or where did you start to first think about, I might give this a go, or, I might be good at this, or I might just enjoy doing it? When did that start?
Well, I think we definitely watched it as, it's like a big, 80s thing. I remember watching it as a kid with the family, and enjoying it, and not necessarily being an avid follower over the years, but, would always watch it at Christmas, and enjoyed it. But I think perhaps when I started strength training, I had a new understanding of what they were doing, because I understood the weights. So that got me more interested in it. And ultimately, what led me to taking part last year was I'd seen like a local comp advertised at a novice level. I didn't even know you could have like a novice level. And I looked at the weights and the events. I thought, oh, I reckon I could do that. And I can't remember if I signed up or I think I did sign up, but this was just pre-lockdown. And it got cancelled, obviously. And then I couldn't do it. Like it was on again, and for whatever reason I couldn't take part when it came back in 2022. And then as you say, I was concentrating more on like my kettlebell skills and my barbell skills, training for that. And then, like, with 6 weeks to go last year, I think we had someone come and train with us from a Strongwoman background, and it reminded me, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I should do that. That would be really good fun. Like, just that would be good fun. But it was inevitable that I was going to do it and really enjoy doing it. And now that's literally all I think about. Literally all I think about. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone how much I enjoy it. But
it's good to hear you've gone that way of enjoying it, because like saying you won that competition and then you went all like, oh no, I've won. It would look really, really arrogant, wouldn't it, if you turned up again for the next one and didn't win on purpose? Went, well, I could have done, but I just chose not to because I didn't want the limelight. They'd be like, get out.
But it's something that's like it's something that this is what's so good as well. I think, because and I think we've obviously had Rebecca Roberts on the podcast, and we're going to have Lucy Underdown on in the near future as well, and these people that we've met, and Pete and I have met lots of people as well through in the kind of the disabled strongman and things. It's so good, because I think that, like you said, I think there's kind of like a perception from most people, and it's probably quite an accurate and honest perception, that going to the gym or the health club is for a certain type of person, and it puts a lot of people off. But I think what I love about, I suppose it's like rugby as well. I was talking to someone the other day about rugby, whereby, and you played rugby as well, but where traditional kind of rugby union, the team, you've got room for everyone. You've got room for the small, fast people, and you've got room for the kind of the big, heavy, strong people, and everyone works together as a team, and everyone's got a place that kind of they can benefit and be good at. And I think with strongman and strongwoman, it kind of is a sport that it's just different. It's a sport that it doesn't tie into that, and doesn't tie you into that kind of stereotype of being, where being skinny is best, and being like the smaller you are, the better, and using exercise to lose weight. I think it's really empowering, actually. I think it's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, it's the different events, isn't it? So like, Tom Stoltman's really good at the stones, and he can teach people about that. But someone else might be like, I think Eddie Hall was teaching Brian Shaw about deadlifting, because he was better at that, wasn't he? Because that was his thing. So there's some people will be better at the log lift and all of that. So everyone can learn from, again, there's a place for everyone, and everyone's got the favorite kind of event within it, haven't they? And they're all, even though it's all lifting heavy shit,
Yeah.
It's lifting heavy shit in different ways, isn't it? And everyone's got different limb lengths and stuff like that. So,
And
which is your favorite, by the way, Alex? What's your best one?
Well, I really enjoyed the stone lifting at the most recent competition. That was it was new, but it was new, so it was like, yeah, new thing, something new to try, which probably was part of it. I love deadlifting a lot, but I don't really think I've got a favorite. Whatever I feel like I'm making progress in at the time is probably my favorite, because all of a sudden all my energy goes into that, and I think, yes, I'm getting somewhere with that. But no, I just love it all, and that's the beauty, I think, for me anyway, in strongman, is I have like the foundations of my strength training, which is the stuff that, you know, you don't see on Instagram, where I sort of just turn up and do the lifting, do the pressing, and then the fun stuff, which changes depending on the competition. That's the fun element, and that's what keeps me interested and keeps me coming back. Yeah, I'm not sure I have an actual favorite. I'll think about it.
That's interesting though. You just said it's not the Instagram stuff, like because I was there a couple of Mondays ago, wasn't it? And you turned up at lunchtime, just did a few deadlifts, and then disappeared. That was it. You were like, right, see you later. It was like, that was it. That was it.
Yeah,
like half an hour or whatever
like,
you were there.
Yeah,
and that, like you just said, that's the boring bit. I mean, you do it anyway, but that's the stuff you've got to do, and then you can do the fun stuff. But you can't do the fun stuff really without doing that, I suppose, as well. So it's the discipline.
It's like the foundation.
Yeah, it's the character you've built of just say, like you've said, I'm going to turn up because I said I would.
Yeah. And I want to get through a week, and I have my goals, and it's important just for me that I get there. And there's only one route really, and that's simply by turning up and doing the work. And in reality, those kind of training sessions don't take me an awful lot of time. I can fit them in somehow. So it's not easy, but I can make it work in my week without too much stress.
And what's great, I think, as well with the strong man, the strong woman, is it is very inclusive, because you've obviously got strong man, you've got strong woman, but like Alex said, you've got, like, you know, the open class, then you've got like the intermediates, then you've got the novices, then you've got the beginners, and you've even got different weight categories within them at certain levels. So it's kind of, and like you say, that it's the variety, the specialized variety, I suppose you'd say, the strong first kind of thing. It would be, you know, you've got an overhead lift, but that might be a log, that might be an axle, that might be a dumbbell, that might just be a normal barbell, that might be a monster dumbbell, that might be whatever. But you know, you've got that,
or a comedy dumbbell, as Sean called it.
You know, that kind of element. You've got like a you know, usually like a traveling or like a loading type event, where you might be doing a farmer's walk, or carrying a sandbag, or carrying like kegs, or, you know, or a yoke, or whatever, you know. So there's so much variety in there. And the other thing I was going to mention, because you've done 3 comps now, haven't you? You did the novices last August, which you won. And then you went and did the partner comp with Emma, didn't you, up in Preston at Chaos Gym? And that, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because that was really interesting. I know they kind of changed it, didn't they? Where they said you don't actually have to have one big person and one little person, but the way it was set up was perfect for the both of you, wasn't it? And I know that's why
it was so good.
Yeah.
So I think Emma, my training partner, who I met at Unique Results. And we've trained together since sort of lockdown. We would meet up online and just do all manner of kettlebell presses, you know, everything, snatching, just to get a couple of extra sessions in a week. And then that just carried on post lockdown. But she was toying with the idea. Emma is very, very strong indeed, and she was toying with the idea perhaps of signing up to do a Strongwoman comp. And then just by chance found an event run by Rhiannon Lovelace at her gym, Chaos Strength, up in Preston. And it was a women's team event. And quite simply, one of you had to be under 82 kilos and one of you had to be over 82 kilos. And it's probably the only time, if you think about weight categories, that Emma and I would ever get to compete together, because we're so different. It's quite comical, really. I'm sort of literally two of Emma. Emma's tiny compared to me. So yeah, so we went up there, we knew what the events were, we trained for the events, we went up there and we learnt a few lessons, to say the least. Like, there were some strong women there. It was really quite incredible. But we didn't we didn't come last, but we didn't place, but we definitely achieved the things that we'd set out to achieve. And so we both come away feeling pretty happy with our performance. And it was it was a good fun weekend. It always is. It's such a positive community. So yeah, that was a good fun weekend, and definitely
even just putting yourself on that stage is a big achievement, isn't it? Because James has just done it a couple of weekends ago for the first time as well, haven't you? And it was like, you were like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just like, all of a sudden I've got all these big weights to lift and I don't know how it's going to go, but you showed up and did it. So
yeah, that was the second solo comp, wasn't it, Alex, that you'd done, the one at West Ham, the
the most recent
strength
one.
ambassadors one. And again, so this time you went in, because you'd won the novice comp, you went in at the next kind of level, the intermediates, didn't you? And you won that as well, didn't you, at this one that we just been at? But you weren't quite so embarrassed, were you, this time?
I
think you kind of wanted to win, didn't you? Yeah, it was a bit more like the first one, you went just to go along and have a go. But this time you turned up, and I know that when it got to like a couple of events from the end, and you thought, yeah, I can win this, and you wanted to win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like we've said many times, you've no idea what your competition's going to be like on the day. So you can be you can be as prepared as possible, you can be in the best shape, and you can feel super strong, and there's always someone stronger than you, and I just, on that day, I didn't win by miles at all. I think it was like half a point. So the other ladies in my team definitely, or in my category, definitely didn't make it an easy win. But again, I was most pleased because I achieved everything that I trained for. So we have a plan and a goal, and you just hope that you can get those results on the day, and I did. So I was really pleased with that more than anything. But I was probably less shy. But also, when you look at the photo of on the podium, I mean, I've just got no clue how to pose. I've got this trophy in one hand, and I've just got this stupid look on my face because I'm like, I just don't know how to pose for this. This is so bad. But,
it's quite similar. Something you just said there is quite similar to, we had Ollie Mell on last week, who was talking about kettlebell sport, who's part of the England team, who was just out in Denmark with Lauren, out there. And it's kind of what people have said, who we've had a number of people obviously for kettlebell sport on, who they say you just train to do the best you can on the day, and you're not really competing against the other people, because you're all just going to do the best that you can on the day. And you kind of, if you were to go and set like a new personal record for yourself and hit the numbers you wanted to hit, but there just happens to be someone down there who's done one more than you and they've won, but you did what you set out to do. So I think like you said, like with the deadlifts and things, there was a deadlift ladder, wasn't there? And you had to do 130, 140, 140, then 150. And it was kind of like, I remember leading up to it, you said, well, if I can get the 140 off the floor, I'll be, or whatever, because you've got to do them quickly as well, but the fact that you did all of those deadlift ladder, it's kind of like, yes, I'm happy that I've done that. If someone else had done it and done it a bit quicker, it doesn't really matter. You've kind of done what you set out to do.
Exactly.
In terms of things. So, and you, like you say, you're going to then come away and you're going to, I mean, you did place first, obviously, at the comp, but hitting what you wanted to hit, and then coming away and going back to the drawing board and training again. And now you've got another comp in August again. And now we're training for that, aren't you? So
yeah, I think, I don't know, I don't have that competitive mindset, but it's always about, for me anyway, it's always about just feeling like I've done the best I can with what I can, and getting the training done and seeing small improvements. And that, for me, is good enough, because coming from a background where I didn't do anything like that, to just showing up and even sort of being brave enough to put myself out there to do it. Of course I want to win. Of course I do. That's just the best feeling. But when I think about it, on reflection, just being able to do it is good enough for me, and just being able to compete with those people, because I think they're incredible. So yeah.
And obviously, as you kind of step up over the next maybe like 18 months, 2 years, and you're going to be, like you say, you went up to Preston and you think, bloody hell, there's some strong women here. Do you know what I mean? In the comp. So as you kind of move up to the different levels and things, the level of competition is going to rise, isn't it? And you kind of,
without a doubt.
Yeah, and I think that's but then you're going to rise to that level and going to keep training and keep getting better and better. So no, it's fantastic. So I mean, you're and what else have you been? I know you've obviously been sort of doing some other study as well in terms of fitness and training and things like that, level 2 and level 3 and that sort of thing. I mean, what's going? You're kind of you're really, you're studying, you're learning, you're taking shots, aren't you?
I think so, because of the positive effects, training, and even prior to the Strongwoman stuff, which I do because it's good fun, but sort of coming back from that a bit, I recognized quite quickly the positive effects of regular training was having on me, in terms of my mental health and my physical well-being, and that feeling of, I can only speak from my experience, which is as being female, feeling strong and powerful and capable just improves confidence, infinitely. And I just think that's such an important gift to give people, because a lot of women, particularly my sort of age, I think there's a better culture in younger women these days as they're growing up in terms of training, but certainly women my age and even sort of 30s, it's something that perhaps we thought wasn't for us or wasn't accessible to us, but actually it really is. It is accessible if you know where to go, and the positives are just can change your life. They've changed my life. And I feel now, I've obviously been in my industry and in my job for many years, and I do have an impact on the community as a result, but it's not particularly tangible. I'm in finance, so it's not something I get to see or feel, but certainly helping people, particularly women, to realize their strength and feel powerful and confident, I now understand is something that I feel I could do and I could help people. And eventually down the line, that's what I would like to do. My industry is volatile. You never know how long you're going to be employed for. So in my mind, it's a way of protecting myself in the future, but also because I just love learning about it. I went in to do my Strong First level 1, not because I had any great plans, but just because I love training with kettlebells and I wanted to see if I could do it, and it kind of spiraled from there. But yeah, so that's sort of my long-term direction, hopefully.
Yes, I mean the thing is, because you already obviously you teach a weekly kettlebell class, don't you? At Unique Results, or which you've done for. Well, it's
nearly 18 months.
Yeah, I was going to say. So yeah, because I remember when you had the year kind of anniversary, as it were. And I mean, like you mentioned, we haven't spoke about it, but the tactical strength challenge, you obviously did that a number of times as well. Before getting into kind of Strongwoman and stuff like that. And I think you may do that again. You mentioned in October this year. But the people, you've inspired. You had obviously. Like Kate, you mentioned like ladies getting involved in strength. Kate Tembeth and Serena, wasn't it? And Wendy, and all these guys who did the tactical strength challenge as well this year, who you've kind of helped to inspire and helped to give belief, you know, that they should get
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So how do you enjoy teaching like a weekly class, your kettlebell class?
I absolutely love it. I mean, we usually get the same sort of people, you know, same people turn up, the regulars, and the little things that I've taught them over the 18 months that I've learned through Strong First, just seeing the things that they do without my prompting them, because they've picked it up week on week, and seeing their improvements and seeing them feel powerful and achieving things like, you know, a good deadlift and good snatch result at the TSC that's all I need. I mean, it feels great to see other people feel great and know that you've been a small part of that. I mean, they've obviously 100% put the work in, but to have someone believe that they can do it when perhaps they've not had that before, that's, you know, a really important part of it. And I feel, you know, grateful that they've allowed me to be part of that in some small way. But yeah, I love teaching the kettlebell. I love kettlebell training. I bore the socks off Jay, my husband, about it. You know, constantly. And whenever I see him doing anything with kettlebells in the gym, I'm sort of watching, thinking, "Oh, I must remember to talk to him about that." But yeah, I've become a real bore in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Really do. Really do.
But he quite enjoys going to watch the strongman stuff as well, doesn't he? Because I know he goes to the strongman shows with you and stuff as well. He quite enjoys that. Yeah.
He's probably not quite as passionate about it as I am, but it's a day out, and they serve food and beer. So yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's great. So so what is next? It's the August coming up. Yeah, the Essex Strongest in Chelmsford in August, isn't it? That's the next comp on the horizon, yeah?
Yeah, so Essex, Rebel Strengths, Essex Strongest, intermediates this time, so hard, you know, harder than last year for me. But yeah, we'll just see how I get on. I don't know how many other ladies will be in the category, but yeah, I'll just do my best, do what I train for, and then hopefully tactical strength. No, I will do tactical strength in October. We need more women in tactical strength because I think a few dropped off this year, so I'll definitely do that and hopefully test my deadlift. And then who knows?
And you're gonna be spending. Alex is also coming to help at the disabled strongman in September as well. So
I'm looking forward to that.
And you'll be spending time with Magnus in July.
Of course, yeah. Magnus is coming over.
Getting some tips from Magnus. Hopefully, getting some tips from Lucy Underdown as well, if we can get. So
lots of exciting stuff. Lots of stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, and then hopefully walk Bath with Peter next year as well.
That's easy though. You don't need to train.
No. I've seen how far you walk. I don't know that it is easy.
Oh dear. Oh, Alex,
but you've got longer legs than me, so it'll be easier.
No, it's been absolutely lovely. I mean, we'll definitely do this again in the future, just to catch up with how you're going and what you're doing comp wise and things like that. I mean, it's just such a great story of, you know, I think people need to hear about stories like this, you know, about people just, you know, starting. I mean, when we spoke to Donna Moore, wasn't it, Pete? Do you remember she started going to like body pump or something in a gym, and then she suddenly, you know, next thing you know, she's like 3 times world's strongest woman, you know, and all the rest of it. You know, she, you know, so you have to start somewhere, you know, and with strength especially, it's never too late to start. You know, we've spoke about this loads of times, haven't we, Pete? Like training age and stuff, but wherever you're starting from, if you start at 30 years old or 40 years old or 50 years old or 60 years old, if you've never really done any stuff like this before, you can continue getting better and better and stronger and stronger. Endurance as well. Endurance is like that, you know, endurance running and things you can keep building, you know, well into your kind of your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, you know, depending on where you start from. So it's so good to hear, just, you know, get started, fall in love with something, and 2-3 years down the line, you don't know where it will take you, you know. So
nothing's off the cards if you want to improve. then not literally nothing is off the cards. Just find someone who can help you get started and just keep showing up. And
Yeah. Brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant. No, it's been so good to talk to you. And I've just got to tell you, Pete, you know, I read that review for Jester, who said, it's someone, I don't know who he is, Jester. I got a message yesterday saying, and it said, I am Jester. And it's someone I know from the gym.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. He goes, I am Jester. He goes, I've just listened to the episode. Really great episode. And also Dan messaged me, Dan John, and said, I think he listened to the recap we did, you know, the recap that we did about the weekend. And he said, that was a really good discussion, blah, blah, blah. You know, so we were talking about the weekend, weren't we, with him?
Oh,
so,
cool. Yeah.
Yes, that was good.
Okay.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Right, guys. Thank you, Alex. That's lovely. And we definitely
thank you.
And, yeah, we definitely speak to you again around all of this stuff. It's fantastic. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Like I just mentioned, the reviews. Please, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go on and give us a review on there, and we will read reviews out and give away merch. I have actually been contacted by a couple of people requesting their t-shirt stroke hoodie, what they want. So I need to sort that out. If you've messaged me about that, that is something on my to-do list for this week. And next week we are going to be back for episode 198 with Mark Rifkind, who we spoke to years ago now. It must be.
Yeah, about 20 years ago, something like that.
About 20 years ago. No, it's got to be 2 years ago at least. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Because it's coming up. We said August is coming up for 4 years, isn't it? I think. So yeah, we've it was a good 2, maybe 3 years ago we spoke to Mark last time. So we'll be speaking to Mark for episode 198. Okay, so thank you for listening. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'll see you in the next couple of days.
Yeah. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Lance.
Thanking you.
I won't see you in the next. Well, no. When am I going to see? Oh, I'm actually going to see you in a couple of weeks. What?
Well, Sunday.
No, I'm going to see you. I'm going to see you online on Sunday. But it's only about 3 weeks till we're in Cardiff.
Yeah, 2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah. For the
8th of June, isn't it?
Yeah, UK Strongest Man, and we'll catch up with James Brees, I think, as well that weekend. In Cardiff, you know, and we're there for UK Strongest, so that'll be good. Yes, so and we will see all of you, or listen. We won't listen to all of you. You will listen to us, or you will see us next week. You will. You will. Whether you like it or not, you will listen to us next week for episode 198 with Mark Rifkind. Until then, bye-bye.